Over the last year, 1 million EVs were sold in the US, and it's probably because these cars, they've gotten more range and they no longer look like science projects. But there are three main reasons I will hold off on holding an EV, and maybe there's one main reason why I think I would jump into buying an EV. My name is Don, you're watching The Bitter Car Guy. Please click like on the video, subscribe to the channel down below, and let's go. So even though there were over 1 million EVs sold and registered in the US in 2023, they still remain a bit of a minority when it comes to cars. They most likely you will see like a Tesla, Mercedes, EV, BMW is also big in the EV game, as is Audi and Porsche. But for the most part, the cars you're going to see on the road are gasoline cars, or what you would call internal combustion engine cars. And there are maybe three main reasons that I think a lot of people are holding off on buying an EV, and I'm going to jump into them. So number one, I think, is the weight. A lot of these cars are so heavy, and because of the heaviness of the cars, you're going through tires like really fast. I've heard people go through a set of tires in 3 to 6 months. So that means every year you're buying maybe 2 sets of tires. Now you're still not doing oil changes and transmission repairs. You don't have an engine to worry about blowing up on you. But when you start spending money on consumables like tires, it adds up. And that could be a big negative influence for a lot of people. Also, if you are parking in a structure like a parking garage, the weight consideration, or driving across a bridge, you would probably think twice if you're in a car that's almost 3 or 4 tons in weight. So number one reason why I would hold off is because of the weight penalty. The second reason I would hold off on buying an EV, and I think it's putting off a lot of people as well, is the price. So when you look at an internal combustion car that has thousands of pieces, the amount of things that go into an engine and transmission and all the pieces that make an internal combustion car move, then you compare it against an EV where you have a battery pack, you don't have an engine, for the most part you don't have a transmission. Why are the EVs so much more expensive? Sometimes they are 25 to 50% or maybe 100% more expensive than an internal combustion engine car. So until the price parity between EVs and ICE combustion cars come down, I think a lot of people are going to be put off. Right now, the people buying EVs tend to have a lot of disposable income. If you're someone like myself, where your income is a little tight, you may stick with an internal combustion car that costs a little less. So yeah, price definitely has to come down before a lot of people can be convinced to buy an EV. The third factor I think that holds a lot of people back from buying an EV has to do with the recharge time. Range has improved. Range to me is no longer a factor because these cars are now getting anywhere from 250 to 400 miles in range, no problem. But recharging your EV is still a bit of a challenge. It can be anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes just to go from maybe 10 to 80% to recharge your EV, and that is still too long. I, for one, with an internal combustion engine car, I hate gas stations, and hate is a strong word. I don't like going to gas stations, especially here in Atlanta. They are so sketchy. And now you're telling me I gotta sit at an EV recharging station for 30, 50 minutes? Deal breaker. I don't want it. Even if I can recharge at home, you're still looking at hours to fill up the battery in your car. So until they address the amount of time it takes to recharge an EV and make it acceptable, I think there's going to be a lot of hesitation. ICE engines have an advantage in that, you know, the fuel we put in is liquid and it can flow pretty fast and get into the engine. So there will always be that advantage. But I think the technology is there to get charging a lot more improved when it comes to EVs. Now, With all of that being said, there is one thing that I like about EVs that would make me buy one, and it has to do with my commute. I live 30 miles each way from the office where I work, and if I had an EV, something like a BMW i3 or one of the smaller EVs, I can plug in at home, charge up, get to the office, recharge, and then do my commute backwards without having to ever spend money on gas. But it would be better if I can get something more like a Porsche Taycan that is a lot more affordable, that is a lot lighter, and also a lot less expensive, and I can charge a lot faster. So yeah, I think we're still looking for that cheap $25,000 EV that doesn't weigh 5 tons and cost an arm and a leg and take forever to recharge. And until a company can crack that code, there's going to be a lot of people holding off on buying an EV. Yes, there are more and more people buying, but what we are seeing is people who buy an EV tend to go back to an ICE car because, one, the recharging, and two, the replacement cost is just too high. So until somebody addresses those 3 issues, the weight, the price, and the recharging, it's going to take a long time for EVs to really become more and more mainstream. So please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.